That's like
How you
gonna be
doing?
the bit now. Like, I just
I think
realized
yeah.
because I've been watching through. Oh my god, I'm so out of breath. I feel really fat today. I mean, I look fat all the time, but I feel fatter than usual,
True.
and I think it's because I've been kind of like, I don't know. I have
I think
like so
I think
much chair sitting today.
I think fat is such a heavy word for it. No pun intended there.
I
I
don't see it as that. I see it as actually a really casual thing.
I prefer like people who have a little meat on their bones. I like the terms husky, like a little
Husky.
thicker. Fat to me just feels gross.
Mm.
I don't think people are fat. Like I don't think most people are fat. I think if you don't have a show about you on fucking TLC, you're not fat.
I mean, I can see that. Um,
It's like you complain about your weight a fair bit, or you talk about it a little bit.
well, it's because
And
it impedes my daily life. I'm like, because I remember a golden age, and that was
yeah,
like tail end of middle school to like half of high school, like the first half. I was like thin as a rail, but I remember being like agile and able to do shit, and now I'm like upstairs, and it's literally just because my metabolism slowed down. Because I still eat the
mhm,
same shit I always did, but my body went. So
yeah.
age got me,
But
but
you refer to yourself as fat, and every time you do, I'm like, you're not fat. You're not even close to
well,
fat.
it's not like a self dislike thing. To me, it's
Mm-hmm.
just like it's like saying I have brown hair or like I'm white. It's like just I don't know. I don't give a shit. I'll change it if I want to. So
All
far,
right.
I've tried a couple times. It's a lot harder than one would think. My vice is food, and food is a very hard
Mm,
one to break. But
yeah,
um, it's not really an issue to me. So far,
that's good.
until I get like heart disease, that we'll find out, won't we?
Oh
But
God. Well,
I was gonna say, I was remembering, I was looking through. Oh my god, I'm like really feeling it today. Oh my god, I'm like out of breath. I was looking through older episodes,
mhm.
older, like I think like we're on episode 7 right now, recording it.
So we're
It's
like
kind
two
of
months.
weird to think we're almost 10 weeks in.
Yeah,
That feels like a long time, probably because I'm young, and that feels short, but or it feels long to me.
yeah,
Um, I'm like, damn. It's like I didn't think we'd be doing it weekly this long, but I
yeah.
was looking through and I was like,
We're
I
really giving it
guarantee we're
all.
gonna be episode 30, 40, maybe even 50, up to like 100, and we're gonna still be going speed
Hell
because
yeah,
I said it in the first one
yeah.
one time and I explained like the lore of it.
Mm,
It's like, well, it's forever. It's the forever joke now.
yeah.
So,
We're in the first post can episode.
I was expecting a tower. That would have been,
Yeah, no, we talked about that. Me doing a little pyramid. Can't
yeah.
do it anymore. I'm they're all gone. No cans anymore.
Oh, I'm burping. I think I'm just bloated.
We had
But
we had family over
hmm
this weekend that we're recording this,
yeah.
and uh yeah, so I did a lot of little cleaning. There were a lot of cans in my room. I had to
Mm.
get rid of.
Yeah, tidy up for the fam.
Yeah, it's like it's weird when you have such a cluttered space for so long and then you clean it out and you're like, "Holy shit, I have so much room.
I
I can like do things."
I consolidate my garbage to the edges of the room, so it lines it like a perimeter. And that's I always like. So I have a middle. I don't know if you could see. This is a bad audio content, but as you can probably tell, the clutter kind of goes on the edges. But the main
Hmm.
center build, there's not much of a center because the couch takes up the entire space.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to explain is that I put my shit on the edges for that reason, where it's like I don't like to feel like contained.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna have to clean up probably either tomorrow or the day after
Hmm.
because I just get annoyed by it eventually. I have to fix my computer. I bought a Blu-ray drive. You can see it there. I'm gonna
Hmm.
put a Blu-ray drive into that computer, which only has a DVD drive, so I can play Blu-rays and DVDs now.
Nice, nice.
So I'm gonna do. I was gonna do that today. It came in today, but I just didn't.
Yeah.
So
Max bought me a Blu-ray for my birthday, this past birthday, I think.
yeah.
It's the only Blu-ray I own, and I don't know if I have anything that can play Blu-rays.
It's starting to reach a point at stores where a Blu-ray cost what a DVD did like 10 years ago. So
Mhm.
it's at this point now where it's like there's no reason not to buy Blu-rays besides I don't want to pay more than $5 for a movie because
Mhm.
DVDs now are like really cheap, but it's like
Yeah.
noticeable. It's reaching a point where it's noticeably quality-wise different because I have DVDs and it's like, "Oh my, that's just not a good it just doesn't look good."
I
So I'm
don't
just whole
I
hogging
don't
it going
I
Blu-ray.
don't I don't notice much of a difference, but I don't watch a lot of Blu-rays, so I'm just used to the DVDs, and so I'm fine with the DVDs.
Mhm. Yeah, it comes from where you like the only reason I care is because I bought a Blu-ray and it was like my first ever physical movie, and I said I want all of them to look the same on the shelf.
Mm.
So
Hmm.
I have some DVDs, but they were gifts. They weren't my choosing. So
Yeah.
I did not. They're separated in a separate area. I have I have segregated my movies.
All right then.
Oh
So you've been busy at work, editing
yeah, all day.
a
That's why I said
a
I was in this
video
chair.
that we're excited to release here, hopefully soon.
I want to release it tonight as of the
I would like
recording
it
of this.
tonight. Yeah.
It would make sense, right?
Yeah.
It's way more tedious than I thought.
Yeah.
To have to like put up different PNGs, different. I'll
We
figure it out.
so since it's gonna be uploaded tonight anyway, it's not much of a surprise video, but we did NFL predictions. We did an NFL predictions video. I'm a big NFL fan, big football fan in general.
Football.
Uh, and we're doing predictions all year this season, this 2021 season. And we're already like since it's going to be uploaded hopefully tonight, we're already one game past. We did record it Wednesday, so before the Thursday night game, before the Bucks Cowboys game.
We did record it. It was Wednesday at like literally like 10:30,
Yeah.
so it was like late. That's why it wasn't
Yeah.
up on Wednesday. And Thursday I
Yeah.
was school. Friday I is it today Friday?
Today's Saturday.
Okay.
You're losing track of your days here,
Oh,
Chief.
it's because Friday all day I was at filming because we're filming like ahead of schedule for my show.
Hmm.
Not my professional show. I'm not professional, but
Hmm.
college show. I'm shooting it. We're
Hmm.
because of people being gone in certain weeks. We're preparing. So I was literally there for like 5 hours. So the whole last day. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's why it's taken so long to do. I wanted to do it Friday, but I just couldn't fit it in.
Hmm. Hopefully in the future we'll have them coming out on what are we planning, Wednesdays or
I
Thursdays?
want to record it and upload it on shit. I forgot. We never wrote it down because we filled out that schedule thing.
Hmm.
Um, Mondays I think are gonna be verses, if I
Yeah.
remember correctly. So probably Wednesday because I don't think I have scheduled anything for Friday. Because Friday I know I do a lot of shit.
Yeah.
So, oh,
All right.
burps.
So hopefully in the future it'll be uploaded on Wednesdays, but for now we're going to be a little late on it. That's fine. Um, but yeah, football's back. I'm very excited for it. I don't seem excited because today has been a very tired day for me, but I am very excited for football to be back. We got football coming tomorrow. We're recording this on Saturday. So yeah, so that's exciting. I it's normally we start these videos with the weekly recap, but our weekly recaps are pretty boring now.
Work, editing,
Yeah, it's
um,
work, school.
school.
That's about it.
That's see, that's the issue with a non-topical podcast, which I've topical
Hmm.
as in like topic based, not like
Yeah, yeah,
you know.
yeah. I get you.
But it can either go like really good, like an episode can either be like just genuinely interesting, full of a ton of like content that's fun to listen to, or
Mhm.
it can be people who are like, yeah, this week I did literally fucking nothing. I had
Yeah,
nothing to
yeah.
talk about. Anything interesting happened in the news? Nope. So I saw this dog once and it hit
So
its head on the wall. It was pretty cool, guys.
I I did actually. So I have something to talk about a little bit. A really interesting idea that a group of filmmakers are doing or have done already is have you heard anything about the Fear Street movies?
Yeah, I watched him
You watched the three Fear Street
in
movies?
one day. Yeah.
Yeah, I started part one last night, got about an hour in, and then was getting tired, so I just paused it and went to bed.
Hmm.
But it's a really interesting idea because it's three like feature length films
They're yeah.
they were created with the three of them in mind, so it wasn't like one of them was made and then they decided to make a sequel. They wanted to make three, and they released them 1 week apart each this
Yeah.
summer.
I remember my sister watched them as they came out. My parents started watching them. Uh, they started watching when there was two out, and I watched when it was all the way done. So I got to
Yeah.
just binge all three in a row. And it doesn't
Mhm.
feel like a movie. It feels like a really long TV episode.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of like, because there's no conclusion at the end of the first two movies. There is
Hmm.
obviously at the last one, but the first two, there's no like grand conclusion. They're like a slight lull, and it's like,
Hmm.
okay, we'll cut it here. So it almost feels like they were like made this big ass long movie, and then they're like cut it twice and said, okay, here we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
and they're the two sections or the three sections are very tonally different. I don't how you've said you've only watched the first one or
First
some of
hour of the first one.
I'm not gonna spoil anything, but one
Please
trait I
don't.
do, yeah, obviously they're good. I really don't because they're really good movies. Or I
Mhm.
think they're good. Um, one trend you will notice, it's similar to like American Horror Story, which I have seen a little bit of.
Hmm.
The actors, for like certain parts and certain things, actors will stay the same, but they're
Hmm.
different characters. But you go like, oh, that dude was in the previous. Like, you'll see that trend. I think it's a couple of them do it. It's all
Yeah.
because there's like weird thing. I don't want to do any more to keep it fresh for
I
you,
know
but like
it's like
it does some stuff where it makes sense, but it's cool to notice that.
I know it's like it's a time centric storytelling or whatever because the first one is 1994 and then the second one's 1978 and then the last one is 1666.
Yeah.
Um, and I've seen I don't know. I watch a show, a YouTube show called The Kill Count.
I
Um,
know that.
yeah, and it's this guy James A. Janice who does his channel's Dead Meat. If there are any horror fans who aren't aware, which if you're on YouTube and you're looking at horror shit and you're not aware of Dead Meat, then you're doing something wrong. But he did the Fear Street kill counts recently, and basically for those unaware, the kill count is he counts the kills. That's the main thing of it, of course, kill count. But it's more so like a mini documentary type thing where he talks about the creation of it and a bunch of background and behind the scenes info and stuff. And I watch a lot of it, and I've watched a lot of horror movies. But even some horror movies I haven't seen, I'll still watch the kill count for because I'm like, I don't really care. Like, I don't think the big twists or whatever are gonna really change my opinion of a horror movie because I'm very like I look at the effects and I look at the writing and I look at certain stuff like that. Like the general story of a lot of horror movies doesn't always interest me because I think most horror movies are very rough around the edges when it comes to their story. They're not always super refined. But this was the first one where I saw the kill count uploads for Fear Street, and I was like, maybe I'll actually watch those before I watch them. So I've been making it a point to watch those. Got through 1 hour of the first one. I'll probably finish that one, and then maybe watch the other two tonight. Um, so
I
yeah, I probably should have finished them so we'd actually have something to talk about. But
It got me
maybe.
remembering something. So my school has a program that I'm in for like production. So it's like
Mhm.
TV, radio, whatever. Not really like a movie centric thing, but
Sure.
you could take those skills and apply them in that industry.
Yeah.
And we have a dude who graduated, went on, he's in like Hollywood now, and he made, or he not made, he ka-ching, ka-ching. No, I think he was either the writer or like the producer or the director, one of the two, one of the three, I mean, or maybe
Hmm.
even like he like assistant producer. He was a very high role in this movie, and it was a Netflix movie called The Old Ways,
Hmm.
which is a horror movie, and it got like really good. It's like it was like trending for when it first came out for a while,
Sure. Yeah.
and it's just cool because he was like only graduated like a couple years before like I was there, I think.
Hmm.
And it's he like did a thing where they zoomed in, not Zoom, but like the website Zoom,
Oh,
zoomed
sure.
in, and they watched it along with everyone in the class. I didn't because I didn't care enough to, but
Yeah.
idea was cool. But they watched it together, and he asked questions and answered stuff, and it was like because it's like they did that for a couple of schools, but they were all
Hmm.
like film schools, and then there was our school, which is not a film school, because
Yeah.
that's where that guy came from, and it's like this really cool. We were kind of lumped in with that because our program is like really good. It's like one of
Hmm.
the best in the states, so it's very like it was cool to see like oh people like actually because like when you people leave college you don't hear
Hmm.
from them usually ever again, and you're like oh, they just vanished into the aether. I'll never see them again, hear about
Hmm.
them again, but this person was like I heard about this person, and then I get to like I had the chance to, I didn't, but to
Yeah.
interact with them, to ask questions about the movie and how they made
Hmm.
it and stuff like that. Oh, how'd you do this? Like, oh, I saw this person got their arm cut off or something. I haven't seen the movie. I don't
Yeah.
know. How'd you do that and stuff like that? And just another cool like little bit of trivia. I
Yeah.
guess.
That is cool. I think it's important for those things to be a thing, I guess, because it's like in the school I'm going to right now, I'm in like some theater, like acting classes and stuff, but we don't have a theater or film program at our school. Our school's a very tech oriented school,
Hmm.
and I'm only really here because it's in the town that I'm currently living in, so it's easy commute and everything. But yeah, my teacher's like my acting teacher, who I talked about my aspirations to become a writer and director and make movies. They pulled me aside and were like, "Yeah, you should like get your gen eds out of the way, but start looking for schools to like transfer to, because we don't have a film program at all. So it's really cool that even like you with your school not being a film school,
Hmm.
having opportunities like that to show people who are interested in filmmaking like some behind the scenes looks at it,
Yeah.
that's really cool. I wish my school had something like that.
Hmm. It's yeah, because like there's this there's this misconception that you need to go to director school or
Yeah.
whatever. I don't know if that even exists. I'm sure there's like a class or something you can do or like
Yeah.
a set of courses. But yeah, we are strictly like technical side. So
Yeah.
like the production aspect, not like the write it up, dream it up kind of thing. So
Hmm.
it's like showing that it's like yeah, those people just come from normal shit. They're not like fucking fucking planted there by the Hollywood stork. You know, they don't just
Hollywood
drop it.
stork.
They don't just come
I
out of
wish I
nowhere.
was implanted there by the Hollywood stork. That would make shit a whole lot easier. But yeah, no, it's one of the most interesting industries when you start looking at backgrounds and how people really get into it, because it's not at all a one way track to get into that industry. It's very much just a collection of people who had an interest and followed that interest in whatever ways that they could.
Some people
So yeah,
not even having an interest. Like you look at like Vin Diesel. Do you know the origin story of Vin Diesel?
I have no clue what the
He was
origin
a
story
bouncer at a bar, and some dude was like, "You want to be in this movie?" And he's
is.
like, "Sure," because he was big and muscular. Because now he's
Yeah,
kind of like fat, but he's still like tall. But he was like ripped at that point, and he was like a bouncer, so he was scary. And that's like, want to be in this movie or something. I think he was. They were like filming a scene, and they want. I don't know the exact lore, but he was just
yeah. Hmm.
some dude, and they're like, come on over. And that literally just kickstarted everything. And it's like if you're like in those areas, you could just in like, I don't know. It's a lot more open of a group of a thing than one would think. While it's not like anyone can get in, obviously. You can't just be like Joe Schmo who like just walks by and goes, "Let me in." They can't. You gotta like. Usually, you have to like have something to show for it, but
Yeah.
it's more attainable than one would think.
Yeah.
It often seems like a distant dream, but you can kind of get in there. I'm not gonna say easy, but it's more attainable.
There's a lot more to it than I think a lot of more old-fashioned people really think about. Because obviously, when you think about movies, and it's like the obvious things sort of speak out as like the acting and shit like that. But there's so much that goes on behind the scenes.
Utility.
So
Everyone's first role. Utility.
Yeah.
What do? I run wires.
Yeah.
I get coffee.
My first gig, if you will, in filmmaking or whatever. I worked on a couple student films back at the other college that I went to before this one. And the very first job that I got, I guess, it wasn't really a job, but it was a task on a set, was I had to go down and sit like hunched over underneath the cameras and work lighting and like flicker them on
Yeah.
to like simulate a TV screen, like changing pictures and shit. And I had to set up like colored panels and just flip the switches like
I love that.
constantly
I
during the scene.
love that. I love that stuff because I've I don't I'm not in the interest. I don't personally have interest in like making my own movies, but I've worked on one short film for a class, and then I know people who have done stuff, and then just in producing stuff for class for projects, you do shit like this, and it's a lot of like the most janky like ghetto shit because you don't know what the fuck you're doing, and you're like, how do I make how can I get this silhouette to appear on this window? I thought it would work if I just like put a little action figure in front of a light and let it shine on the window. No, it just is this blurry blob. So someone, oh hey, we'll have no one running that camera. We'll just hope to God it looks good. You're gonna stand out in front of that window with the light behind you, and you're gonna stand up against the window so it looks more clear. And it's like we did something like that, and at the end, it was the coolest shot of the worst. So that was my short film, and it was shitty. It was a shitty short film. It was terrible. I don't know where it is.
Yeah.
I would like upload it or something if I knew where I could find it. Actually, I should because I can't get their consent because I'm not the one on the screen. But I would like private it and show you. But I don't know where it is. It's probably lost to the aether. But it was the only cool scene in that entire thing. The rest of it was so shit. It looked so YouTube-y and bad. But I mean, it was cool. I have the. So this was what was going to be the action figure in front of the camera. It's going to be this guy. That's why I own it, and that's why it's sitting on top of my doorbell. But it didn't work, so we had this for no reason. I think we used it as in more scenes because I was like, I spent like $5 on it. I don't want to waste the money. But
Yeah, the film industry is very much just the epitome of like, just fucking make it work.
yeah, especially like
Just do whatever.
low
Just make
budget.
it work.
Like
Yeah.
if you watch a movie, it's like, oh, what was the budget? Like $10,000. It's like, well, how'd you do all that? You don't want to know.
Yeah, it's
a lot of like rules broken. Standing on ladders on the top thing. It says no, you can't stand on that. Like it's like,
A lot
it's
of
where you get all
just,
the funny stories.
we made it work.
Yeah, I made it work.
Yeah.
That's
It's great.
while it's a world I'm not going towards. It's a cool one to think about and to hear stories about.
You
Is-
might go towards it if I go towards it because I might pull you onto sets and be like, "Hey, run this camera for me."
Yeah, as I said, I think last episode we talked about, not last episode, but the last episode we talked about this for like
Yeah.
30 minutes. If you do, hit me up. I'm always available. But
Yep.
yeah, it's interesting. It really is. But as to not essentially talk about the same topic twice, I'm
Sure.
going to transition it. What?
I was just feel free,
Oh,
change the
it cut
subject.
off. Okay, feel free. I was trying to remember that entire time. Um, I had something interesting happen to me. Oh, I so it's more school, but it's not school work. It's the campus.
Sure, yeah.
Um, the building I go to is the building for my major. It's the media building,
Hmm.
and there's a parking lot next to it that I've been parking in for the entirety of me being here.
Yeah.
If I go to that class and I drive there, not walk, if I drive, I park in that parking lot for
Hmm.
probably about 2.5, 3 years now. For the first time ever, I got a ticket for parking there.
Hmm.
Ever.
Hmm.
I knew it was not a student lot. I knew that it wasn't. Everyone
Yeah.
knows it's not, but everyone's been parking there forever. And it's like the small one. It's always fucking empty because no, there's like two at a time. There's like 10, 15 professors there, and there's like 20, 30 spots in that parking lot. So it's always got spot full.
Yeah.
And so everyone parks there. And I got a ticket, and I'm like, oh, it's $30. I'll pay it. I called, and I'm like, why did I get a ticket? And they're like, oh, you can't park there. I'm like, I know, but like everyone does. So why did I get a ticket? Because I was the only one with a ticket on my car.
Hmm.
And they're like, I don't know. If you think there's any issues like with like favoritism or something, you can call us up here. I'm like, I'm not fucking with that. So I paid the bill, or I'm going to pay the. I should actually it should be up. I went to pay it, and they're like, no, it's not there yet. Come back next Tuesday, and that was the Tuesday that just happened. I
Hmm.
was supposed to go up, and I forgot about it till now. But
Yeah.
it's in my account. And all of a sudden, like the next day on Snapchat, I'm looking through stories, and other people from Wells, this is the name of the hall,
Yeah.
are going. I got a ticket. Hey, I got a ticket. Why do I pay for a parking pass if I'm going to get tickets anyways? And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh no, they found the secret spot. So they must have never put because it's just
Damn.
like students, I believe, in like these like reflective vests who walk around
Yeah.
and writing shit down. So I'm like, they found the secret spot, and they're like racking the. I don't know if they get points or some shit, but they're racking the dough, man. I guess I don't know.
That's fuck. That's
They
so
got
sketch.
it. It was like, oh, that sucks. So now I park farther away, and it's like I could do it because I doubt they're gonna re-go through again recently.
Hmm.
But I'm just not gonna risk it. I'll park in the gravel area and walk. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. I always have the temptation to do that because there's so many open parking spaces in all the parking lots on campus. 'Cause it's a relatively small school that I go to, so there's a ton of parking spaces that just go unused, and I'm always tempted to use them. But it's I always end up parking just like I feel kind of bad for the people who live near the campus if
Oh
they're
yeah,
not a student because for like the 3, 4 blocks away from the campus in all directions is the streets are just full of students parking on the
yeah.
street and walking up.
That's yeah. We don't get
Yeah.
that here because we're just there's a lot of like student parking. You can pay for like $60 for the whole year. You get a pass.
Hmm.
So it's like, why not? But there's a radius, or I guess what's it called when it's not a radius? The whole
Circumference.
the circumference. There's a circumference around the school. That's I don't know how big, but it's like the people who live in those neighborhoods
Hmm.
park their cars on their grass because they have no like there's no driveway and there's no
Yeah.
garage, but they have these like they just put it in their front yard so they're blocking their like front porch.
Yeah.
So if you rent or own one of those homes as a student, there's a high chance you put your car in front of your like thing. And I'm assuming no one I don't think there's like an HOA in
Hmm.
these neighborhoods, but it's like the trashiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's like everyone does it. And I was like, oh, I feel bad for like the old people who live there because it's like you're either young, a college student, or you're like uber old. That's like the
Yeah. Yeah.
demographic of this town. And I feel so bad for them because they're like, "Oh, those kids parked their truck on their grass again. I can't. It's like three cars in a row. What are they doing? It's like the most
That that's kind of
trashy.
homey stuff though because if they parked it on the street, like parking in the grass opens up the street, right, for more students
Well,
to park there.
the reason they don't is probably because you can't. There's a lot of spots in this town where it's like between this sign and this sign, you can't park on the street here.
Ah,
So it's probably that. There are cars I see on those same streets in the street, but also in the grass. So I think it's a preference thing, really.
okay.
And the streets are very wide. I don't know why they're so wide, but a lot of them are really wide, and they're just neighborhood streets. So
Yeah,
even if there's cars on each side, you could still like squeak by each other if two cars are like going like that.
yeah,
So I don't know, but it's a weird phenomenon I've only seen here. So
sure, yeah.
who knows? Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? But
So,
yeah.
you got any hypotheticals to throw out there for us to talk about for 3 hours?
I
Because we
can't.
absolutely could.
I can't because I haven't thought of any because I kind of forgot we recorded. As I said, I'm having trouble remembering what day of the week it is when it's the
Yeah,
weekend
yeah.
because I don't have classes on Fridays or Mondays. So my weekends are 4 days long.
hmm
So it's just like,
God, I wish that was me.
well, it's cool for like one weekend. And then you're like, fuck, I can only do so much. Like
Yeah, yeah.
you can only sit on your ass for so long. And I get so bored. So then I start editing and then I'm sitting in this chair for too long editing like shit for this channel and I start to feel all gross and it's like ugh. It's like I wish I had more friends up here cuz I could do stuff. But all the
Yeah.
friends I do have, they like also sit on their ass and do nothing cuz they're in the same major as me, which involves a lot of
hmm
sitting on your ass. So I hear all these like people like walking outside late at night, fucking off their brains, like on
hmm
another planet, and I'm like, if only. I want to do that
If
once
only.
just to experience it. I know I wouldn't
Yeah.
like it, but I know I just want to experience that because it's like they'll be up at, walking around at like 3 in the morning, and it's like
hmm
big groups of these like college girls, and they all dress exactly the same with jean shorts and these white like tube tops. And it's like they
hmm
look like clones. it's
hmm
it's like oh my god, there goes the Borg.
There's a glitch in the Matrix.
Yeah, they've copy and pasted too much. But
Which, by the way, so the Matrix, the fourth movie or whatever, just the trailer just dropped or whatever.
did you watch it?
No, I don't give a shit about the Matrix.
Me neither. So I haven't watched it.
Okay, yeah, all right.
I don't give a shit either.
Yeah,
Matrix was before my time, so I'm not acquainted with those movies.
yeah, I think it, there's a whole big hubbub about it. I saw on Twitter. It was on the radio as I was driving to school, and I'm just like, I don't care about the Matrix at all. I have this like, the more shit I hear about your movie, the less I actually want to go see your movie.
Well, I mean, you can't have another Matrix movie without butt fucks of people caring about it because
Yeah,
it's the fucking Matrix. It's a big deal
yeah,
culturally. It's like a new Star
yeah.
Wars movie. But
Is it though?
I would say it's on the same level.
I don't think it is. I don't think it's anywhere close to the same level.
Like level of people talking about it, yeah. When The Force Awakened was like coming out, or they had trailers for it, it was some people, at least people I know, they're fucking nuts about this shit. They're
No,
like,
yeah, I'm saying so
they
I know
were
Star Wars is
busting.
huge. I don't think
No,
Matrix is
I'm
it
talking about the
close.
Matrix. People I know are like, oh my
Oh,
god, did you see the trailer? Oh, and they're talking about it like it's a new Star Wars movie.
hmm.
But they're in my major, which implies they probably like film people. So
Hmm.
it's a more, I think it's like Star Trek, where like
Sure,
it
I
has
can see
like a
that.
big fan base, but they kind of like hide it. Like you don't
Yeah,
hear Star Trek people obsessing about Star Trek stuff, but then Star Wars people won't shut the fuck up about it. It's the
yeah.
same. Like I think Matrix people, they're in the woodworks, and they all fucking crawl out of their little holes when the trailer comes out, and you hear
I
about it
think
every 5 minutes.
part of that might be because like the Matrix like movies suck.
The
Like
first
all of
one's
them.
okay. I've seen the first one. The other two I've
Yeah.
heard are really bad.
I've seen them all, and I think they're all pretty dog. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just. I know a lot of people don't like two or three, but I know a lot of people do like the franchise.
It's a cool concept.
Sure.
like aliens take over the world, and then you're like in this little like simulation that you don't know it's like we're in the simulation now. It's the whole
I
like
think
we
that
broke the Matrix meme.
I think it's overdone though at this point,
Well,
and
was it
like
overdone then? You got to think about that in
no,
the context of that
I think it
climate.
was I think it was fine for it to come out when it came out. I don't think there's a need for another one.
Well, they want to make money. That's why they're making it. They don't want
Yeah,
to. They don't care about the extending the lore and the story. They want to make
I get
money,
that.
and it will make a
But
fuck ton of money. But
my question is, I'm gonna look it up right now. I want to know if the original creators are in charge of this new one.
probably not. I
Cause
doubt they would be. Usually,
yeah,
it comes down like is what's his name still hold of Star Wars? Lucas, George
no,
Lucas.
he sold it.
Yeah, but does he still like? Do they like ask him shit like, "Hey, would this be
I
cool?" Or do they just
I
fucking cut
I
that guy off?
I don't think he has any involvement whatsoever.
Yeah, but
Okay,
the real
so
question is, does he want to be involved?
one of the sisters who made the Matrix series is involved.
So they have one of the original people.
Y-
Well, I mean, it's better than none.
I guess. Yeah, yeah.
You also got to take into account how much are they being paid, um, and is that number big enough for them to stop caring about the quality?
Um, yeah. I'm looking at it right now, and it's just like I don't see the point. Why make another one? Yes, I know, make money, but
Yeah,
like,
that's the reason. There's
but
no why.
if that's the only reason, like if the only reason you're making more like sequels or seasons for a show or some shit like that, it's because money, then like, come on.
Speaking of making seasons of a show, uh, I didn't know this, but the season coming out for The Walking Dead
Yeah,
is the last one.
I did know that
I
actually,
didn't, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I was also
but
like, because I've been kind of watching it. Like, I like will binge the parts I haven't watched yet up until the part I can't because it's not out yet, and then I'll wait
mhm.
another year and a half, and then I'll watch the other bits. So I kind of like following up, and I'm like, I'm kind of like, finally.
But the thing is, they're making a spinoff.
Oh, I know that, but like the mainline series needs to end. It should have ended a while ago, I think.
Yeah, it absolutely should have ended a while ago.
I mean, I'm just hoping they
Um,
do it good. I think. I
I
don't know.
guess I guess spoilers for The Walking Dead
If
for
it's
the
from the
audience.
comic book, then it
No,
doesn't. Okay.
it's from the show. But so if you still give a shit about The Walking Dead, skip ahead like 5-10 minutes or
I
whatever.
give enough shits to
Uh,
watch it, but not enough to care about like
but
what
anyway,
happens.
so in season 6, or it was season 7. It was season 7. They kill off Carl. Or was that 8?
Carl, I don't
That
remember.
was 8. I'm looking at the seasons right now.
They kill
Must
off
have
the
been 8.
dude who's supposed to become the main character based off the comics.
Yes, and that's when I stopped watching because I read the comics before I watched the show. I was a big fan of the comics. I think the comics did just amazing work. The whole point of the comics, like the entire message, when it breaks down to it, is Carl and seeing him get raised in a broken world, in a world that is so awful and despicable and evil,
Yeah.
and watching what becomes of him. And then, of course, the end of the comic series is it's about him and about there's like a time skip, and it's him when he's older. And yeah, the show just like, nah, let's just kill him because that would be funny, right?
I don't
That would be
even know
wild.
why they even thought that'd be a good idea. I don't have any clue. I don't know.
Yeah. So that's when I stopped giving a shit because it's like it's one thing to be like, we want to be different than the comics, and it's a whole different thing to be like, no, fuck the comics. We are doing exactly the opposite of what the comics are doing, especially when the comics were so successful and did such a good, like, were so critically and commercially successful and widely accepted as being very, very good. To completely just like say fuck you to the comics and do that is like, why? Like, it's you don't have to word for word recreate the comics. But like, if the comics did something successfully and you were adapting something you're adapting the show from the comics, why not like follow the successes and capitalize off of the success that the comics had in various areas of storytelling so that your audience, has something like good, right?
Who knows?
I don't
It's
understand.
logic.
But yeah,
Well,
that's
because
nice.
that movie's. I guarantee the decisions are not made by the writer. The decisions are made like I want you to follow this kind of idea, and it's by like fat cats sitting on their big table because they know this will make money. Like, what makes more money? A show where it's like, oh my god, who's gonna die, or one that's more strictly in line with the comics. It's like because that's why they did the Carl killing thing. It's because oh, it's shocking. And then they had like the I don't even know if it's comic accurate, but Glenn and the other dude got his fucking head mushed. It's like
Glenn dying there was comic accurate.
I don't know what the other dude. Either
The other
way,
dude, the other dude was dead before that happened, I think, or
but
he died just after.
it's like I don't know.
It's just,
It's clearly
I,
you could tell while watching it. It's like this is done for shock factor and only shock factor. Like there's no reason for it, like narratively. Um,
yeah.
Also, like
It.
why I don't know if you know that because you stopped watching it, right?
I stopped watching it after halfway
So
through
you know
season.
Negan.
I do know Negan.
He hasn't died yet, and he just is sitting
That's that.
around.
That's comic accurate.
Do they have him sitting around just just there, but not doing anything with him in any way?
No. Once he stops serving a purpose in the comics, they write him off. Like he goes off and does his own thing, like leaves.
He's still there, and he will be there for
No.
the final season. He
It's
is part
because
of the main group. It's
it's
well,
because he was so big and like such a like a interesting character that they're like he's gonna make money for us.
he's
So
also my favorite like villain. I guess he was so cool. I don't know. I thought
I
he
think
was
he's.
cool.
I mean, yeah, he completely changed up the comics and shit.
Hmm.
And the thing is, like, a lot of what they did with Negan in the beginning was relatively accurate to what the comics did with him. And then, yeah, now you get to the point where he's kind of overstaying his welcome.
Yeah, they kind of gave him a role where he was like, "Oh, go undercover and fight the other bad guy," because there was like a new bad guy who was really
Yeah,
boring and no one cared about, and go undercover and kill them, blah blah blah. And it's like, why? Why is he still here? I don't care. And then he completed his mission, and I'm like, oh, okay, now they'll be like, okay, well, you can't stay here anymore. You like murked like our
hmm,
best friends, so you
yeah,
gotta leave. No, he's still there, and he's just sitting around. And they're even like they hate him and they want him to go, but no one makes him go, so he's still there. And it's like, why hasn't anyone? They're just keeping him around because he's a moneymaker character,
yeah,
and he's cool, and the actor does a really good job, like a really good job. So
yeah.
it's like,
He's a very good actor.
but
Uh, yeah, like in the comics, they kind they kept his storyline mostly intact from the comics to the show, in the regards that like, so after they beat him in the comics, he goes into the jail cell and he's kept around for a little bit because they don't want to kill him immediately, or they want to prove that they can create a world that's not as awful as the one Negan was trying to build. The whole like, you if you're just as bad as the villains, you're no better than them, blah blah blah, whatever. um, they have an interesting dynamic in the comics with him and Carl. Like Carl will like go down into the jail cell and talk to him and
yeah.
shit, which obviously doesn't happen in the show because Carl's dead by
Well, in
then.
this show, it's Rick.
Okay,
Rick goes
well,
down and talks to him, and then I don't know if you also know this, but Rick dies.
yeah,
He's gone. He's not
yeah,
going to be there, or they're gonna bring him back for like the last episode or something, and be like,
yeah,
"Oh,
yeah.
it's the reveal," but he's like abducted by this group.
Hmm.
So they kind of kill him off, and he's not. Like the last season I watched, he was not in it at all. They don't
Yeah,
hint at him being alive except for like minor bits and like this little thing. So I don't know if by that time they would still be doing the sit around in the jail cell thing. I don't know how it would work, but they just screwed up the whole like the system that was in place and laid out for them by keeping certain characters alive and killing certain characters off. So everything feels weird.
Yeah.
Nothing has a reason. It's all just
Yeah.
because it would make good TV.
Yeah. In the comics, he still does the thing where he eventually gets out and he goes off, and the Whisperers in the comics, he goes
Oh, yeah, those
off.
guys.
He goes off of his own volition. He doesn't get sent in as a spy, but he goes off of his own volition. Like he's like, I'm on your side. I'm gonna join the Whisperers, and then he kills the leader of the Whisperers.
Exactly.
And then
Yeah.
after that, instead of just hanging around, that's when he like leaves and he's gone. He's done from the comics. He's gone. And Rick also, by the way, in the comics does actually die eventually.
Yeah, I
But
know he does die.
that's kind of the
Like
catalyst
die.
for yeah, he dies, and then that's the catalyst for like the time jump, and then the aftermath of what we see after that, and a big step up for Carl being like, now I have to like start making decisions and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And they just throw all that away, and they throw so much of the good storylines from the comics away because
Yeah.
money.
Money. I'm just
But I
glad it's
hate,
gonna end.
yeah, me too. I hate the idea that you mentioned about how like the reason they killed Carl is because shock value and all that. I hate how that has become a thing, and like
It totally started because of Game of Thrones. You know that, right?
yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. And it's like it's it's part of why Star Wars, the new trilogy, was so dissatisfying
Yeah.
because they didn't build anything. They just did things for shock value and just to be like, oh, it's wild and different. And it's like there's value in doing things different and making new shit. But when you do it solely for shock value and you just go do away with all sort of semblance of story and natural progression, like, yes, when things are predictable, it can make things less engaging. But when you just throw shit at the wall, that just it makes it doesn't satisfy fans who are already fans. It shows new fans that you really don't give a shit about what you're doing. You're just doing it to make money and to create shock value. There's value in storytelling,
Mm-hmm.
and there's this new wave of like people just saying fuck the story basically. Let's just do shit that creates a reaction.
It they I feel like there's a place for that and it exists for a reason. An example would be like a lot of some of the I don't know if the books are like this, as far I've only watched it, but Game of Thrones, the earlier bits, earlier like especially the early part of Game of Thrones,
Mhm.
amazing show. But it also had just like this guy died. Why? Well, he just died. That's why. And there's a place for that. It's like because it's like that's like the world they've built and the logic behind it. But not every story has to function like that. And a good example is like Star Wars, like the original ones, where it's like if a character died, it was a big deal. Like there's like I don't know, like Vader dying, right? He's like, oh, laying there, right? And it's like they play it out. You could see it coming to that. You see like he like betrays the dark people and
Mm-hmm.
it's
The
people
dark
they're like the dark people, the dark side. He's betraying them and the fucking Palpatine guy. And
Yes.
I feel like people are like, no, that's lame and cringe. It's like too generic. Let's do this guy dies because it would be like, whoa, sudden, like it's real life.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, and
okay, stories aren't real. It's,
yeah, that's the whole thing. Like it
stories are
shit do,
stories.
shit doesn't have to be realistic because it's a fictional story that you watch
Yeah.
and watch for entertainment and watch for some semblance of satisfaction at the drama that unfolds. And it's like I think a lot of the books do it really well, and the show early on looks like they're going to do it really well in the regards that a lot of the deaths that seemingly don't make sense do make sense eventually.
Yeah, there's like context
As,
to it later.
yeah, as the story unfolds in the books, you get so much more information that you're not aware of in the beginning. That's like, okay, like one big example. Another spoiler for Game of Thrones. If you haven't watched Game of Thrones by now,
Or red.
uh, Ned's death in season one.
Okay, yeah.
Uh,
That
it,
doesn't
it's
seem. That's like
a,
built up to though.
it is built up to, but it was a perfect example of like you can kill a main character because he was the
That's
main
the
character.
best way to do it.
Yeah, he was the main character both in the show and in the books, and they kill him off at the end, and it's like you can do that. You can kill main characters, but you have to have a reason to, and they have a reason. Like it's explained so good in the books as things go on, and you see that like there's so many different people pulling strings behind the scenes that you're not aware of in the beginning, and like there's twists that are executed perfectly in the books especially, where it's like, okay, this guy's actually been evil the whole time, and you can kind of look back and be like, oh my god, it makes so much sense now. And like shows and movies like Star Wars and The Walking Dead and shit like that, they don't do it right
No.
because they don't build up that stuff behind the scenes.
Yeah,
They
it's
just
yeah.
they just do shit and they're like, ain't that wild?
Yeah,
It's like
there's no like reasoning or method. Like I can't remember exactly how in The Walking Dead Carl dies. I think he gets shot. No, he gets shot
he
in the
gets
face
bit.
and he has an eye thing.
That happens, but that's like a few seasons
And then he
ahead.
gets what did he
He's
get
bit.
bit by
He
something?
Yeah, he gets bit and
The
then kills
zomboids.
himself. Yeah.
I don't even remember it, and I've watched the entire show.
Yeah.
That probably is a good like
He gets bit
snapshot into
saving
that.
he gets bit saving this dude, and then the dude doesn't do anything and dies later, so it's an entirely pointless death.
It would be less pointless if the dude he saved was like, I can't believe I like. It became like a plot point in that guy's life, like an important
Yeah.
part of his life, and like he lasts for a little longer. He becomes like an important figure, and he like takes like that experience molds how he progresses later on.
Mhm.
But if they just kill him off again, or he doesn't do anything, and he becomes like he just kind of vanishes, it
Yeah.
becomes meaningless. It just makes it even worse because then it's like, what was the point? What was the point? Because I don't care
Yeah.
about this guy. You have to make us care for the if someone died to save someone else, you have to make us care for the person they saved. Otherwise, we don't give a shit. We're just like, why'd you do? The story
Yep.
might as well end there. Like, I don't give a shit about these people.
That right there is the crux of so much of why so much modern storytelling just doesn't work. You have to make us care.
Yeah,
I think people, the like a lot of filmmakers and a lot of showrunners don't spend time and don't do the small things to actually make us give a shit
yeah.
about the characters. They just build them up on cliches and then kill them off because it's wild. And I think we're running in circles a little bit with how we're connecting all these things, but like a Star Wars example is like Snoke. In the
Oh, I
first,
remember. Yeah, I remember
they
Snoke.
build Snoke up as some big evil baddie in Force
I've
Awakens.
only ever seen Force Awakens, by the way. I don't care.
Okay,
I don't worry. I don't care about spoilers. They're
that's
shit movies.
yeah.
So
They kill him off in the second movie,
yeah,
like immediately, and it's the dumbest way they kill him off because it's like they don't give us any reason to give a shit about these characters and their development and their storylines because they show us and they tell us immediately that like it doesn't matter because they're gonna do whatever, they're gonna kill off whoever, and it's like you're telling us basically to just not give a shit, and that ruins all sort of fan investment.
they want it to be like a spectacle and less of like a thing to ponder or a thing to like put a lot of feelings into.
Yeah,
Because like a spectacle is, this guy got fucking mushed by a car. Holy shit, he got shot from a sniper from instantly dead. Oh my god, it was just a grunt who killed him. Like how he was so and
yeah,
it's like it's a spectacle of all this crazy shit and it's like then you look at like the early Star Wars movies, right? The first ones, the first trilogy, right?
mhm,
Everything is like it's so classical almost in how it's constructed where it's like the classic hero journey. And then they're like they don't instead of like oh because you feel like in the beginning of watching that movie, it's like, oh, they're gonna follow that same logic, right? They have the new Death Star. They're gonna have the big bad that lasts the three movies, and he dies at the end. and they introduce him, and then they're like, the second movie, they're like, ha, no. Instead of
Yeah.
that, we're gonna kill this guy that was barely built up instead of building him up more. And then we're going to try to push your interest onto this Kylo guy because uh, he's cool and all the fangirls like him. And it's like literally, it's like clearly done for like toys, advertisement,
Yeah,
shock
yeah.
value. It's terrible because you can't make a Snoke toy. No one wants a Snoke toy, right?
I want.
Snoke's ugly.
I do now.
They should have made a cooler, big head honcho villain, and then have Kylo like come to the good side because he was only there because he was like edgy teen,
Yeah.
and then it's like, oh, actually, this guy was pulling the strings, and he's fucking cool looking, and he's scary, and they build him up secretly, like you get like little hints, like
Yeah.
it's so easy to make it good. I just pulled that out of my ass in 30 seconds. That would be so much cooler.
Me and so many other Star Wars fans really thought they were gonna do Plagueis. Do you know? I don't know if you're
The
aware of
dark, what's his name, the wise,
Darth Plagueis the Wise. Yeah, I know. I know.
the
Prequel meme.
memes, yeah,
Whole thing with him is like he he's so integral to the Star Wars lore behind the scenes. Like
hmm
he was Palpatine's master. Learned how to cheat death. Learned how to manipulate midichlorians. And there's a popular like theory in the Star Wars fandom universe or whatever that like Plagueis might be like Anakin's dad because Plagueis's whole thing is like he can manipulate midichlorians, and that's the whole thing with like Anakin is like he didn't have a father. He was the Jesus like allegory of like his
yeah.
mom was just pregnant,
It's because
and
the
talk
beginning
about
movies were very biblical in nature when they
yeah,
do
yeah,
the whole, yeah.
and they talk about his like his his midichlorian level is so high and
Isn't that
shit, and
like the
like
shit that makes you do the Force?
yeah, yeah,
Okay, I don't know
and,
a lot of
and
lore.
and people were so pissed off about that initially with the prequels because it's like that's not how that's supposed to work. But they could have kind of saved it if they would have gone with Plagueis and like really like drove in like the whole midichlorian manipulation and kind of either they didn't even have to fully like confirm that Plagueis is actually Anakin's dad. Uh, but they could have played with it a little bit and teased it a little bit, and like they could have made that character of Snoke if they wanted to do Snoke or if they wanted to fully go in with Plagueis. They could have made that character so interesting, but it wouldn't have like that would have he would have been the big bad and it would have invalidated Kylo.
Yeah, they wanted Kylo to be the big bad, and then they also didn't want him to die. They also wanted him to be like also redeemed. Like they wanted him to be. They put a
Yeah.
lot of shit on Kylo. They were like,
Yeah.
Kylo needs to be this, 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 and this. And it's like, you have Snoke. Make Snoke the big bad. Make Kylo being
Yeah.
manipulated or something. But no,
Yeah.
he technically kind of is too. And then they're like, oh, by the way, second movie, no, he's not being manipulated by Snoke. Actually, we're killing Snoke. It's like, what? Then what's the
And
point of all that
if you
build?
want us if you want us to like even in that regard, like if you want us to like Kylo and you want to do his like redemption story or whatever, like you don't have to kill Snoke to do that. Like you can have him in the second movie. You can have Kylo turn back to the good side and have that sort of redemption. And you can still build up Snoke as the bad guy, and that's how you can help redeem Kylo and make it more a satisfying redemption
Yeah.
is by continuing to build up Snoke as this big bad, and you can turn Kylo and bring him to the good side and have there be so much like just mental shit going on with Kylo that it takes him time to work through that, and you can create this sort of interesting dynamic instead of what they really did, which was build up this super big bad, kill him off immediately, and then have Kylo be like, "Well,
Kind of bad,
I'm still kind of bad,
but
right?
I'm
I'm still a
also
bad boy."
kind of good guy.
Yeah,
It's
it's just it.
so stupid. I can't. It's especially bad when you look at like it's like the reasonings are so stupid because it's just oh it it's
It's
so
like
much problems that it's like why would you decide to do that? Why? I don't even like. I've seen one of the movies and I've seen
yeah,
clips and snippets of the other two. That's
yeah.
all I need to know. All I need to know it's a stupid, shitty thing that they've made. It sucks. It doesn't make any sense. None of it
Yeah,
does. There's no
yeah.
reasoning. Why'd they need to make Ray uh fucking what's her name? Connected to like the main people. Why was Ray is she a she was like the daughter of someone or something? It's
She
revealed.
ended up being the daughter of Palpatine.
Yeah, and then she puts her last name as Skywalker, right?
Yeah,
She
at
like
the end
changes
she's
it.
like, I'm a Skywalker. It's like,
It's like no.
hey, first of all,
Why can't you just be someone? Why can't you just be Ray? Why do you have to be
like
this to make you
you
care?
okay,
Because they're trying to get you to care in the last movie.
or or even get this. Like there's you could have gone two ways with it. You could have gone a couple different ways, but two good ways. You could just make her Rey and just not include that whole parent storyline that's just bullshit and like slogs down that whole trilogy. Or if you're gonna make her a Skywalker in the end anyway, just make her a Skywalker.
Yeah, why'd they do the stupid?
Just if she's gonna at the end of the whole series be like, yeah, I'm a Skywalker, why not just make her a Skywalker the whole time? It's so fucking stupid. It's
Don't,
so stupid.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it. It's like there's some you see a lot of logic. It's like for like why did they make bad decisions for The Walking Dead, right? Money, shock value to retain viewers. Like there's that logic, right? But like the sequels for Star Wars, none of them are good decisions for money or for story. I know they made money because of the name. They knew
Yeah,
that.
that I mean
But
that's yeah.
besides that, like you can't get new fans. I guess you will because, as I said, the name's so prolific. But it's like no, who,
It's
what
so
little
bad.
kids like? I really want a Kylo figurine. They were
It's
clearly
so
trying to
bad.
push for advertising for figures and toys and they want the freaking the people who are like they love the oh I'm shipping Kylo and Ray, right? You know that dumb shit.
Yeah,
They love that because that breeds people interacting with that brand more, which
yeah,
in turn gives them more money.
yeah.
But a lot of it just makes zero sense. Like even in that aspect, it's like no, you're just gonna piss everyone off if you just shoehorn shit like that.
If you are abandoning story and good writing in favor of let's make more money, you are a bad filmmaker. You are a
Yeah,
dog shit filmmaker.
I think I know the writers actually like really wanted their shit to do good. There was like art like interviews and shit, and they were like, "I really believe in this product." It's like whoever those guys were. I think it was like a pair of dudes, right? Or am I mixing that up with something else?
No, it was just well, it was J.J. Abrams in the beginning, and then they gave it over to Ryan Johnson because J.J. Abrams is a big name and had other jobs. So they gave it over to Ryan Johnson. He completely fucked it up, and then they brought J.J. Abrams back to try to tie it all together.
It's probably the only reason see. I think I've only seen the Force Awakens, and with only the context of the Force Awakens, it's not
Yeah,
nearly as bad as the other two, from what I've heard.
yeah.
The Force Awakens is like, oh, it kind of like introduces this new lore. The only big glaring issue I feel is the fucking Han Solo getting murked.
It's yeah,
Makes no sense. Like, I don't know, it's like he dude just killed his freaking dad
it's
for
very
like no
shoehorn.
reason.
It's very shoehorn evil.
Fuck you,
It's
dad. Ugh.
yeah,
And then they
yeah.
want to
It's
redeem him after he kills his father for no reason. Like,
the
what?
funny thing is what I love with it so much is that like Mark Hamill hated it.
Well, yeah, of
Like
course.
it's shown in like interviews and shit even before it came out that he hated it. The every other like person who's been involved with those hated it. Like everybody who was involved with it fucking despised their role in that series. And the same thing with Game of Thrones. If you watch like the interviews with the actors and performers ahead of the release of season like 8 and even season 7, they hated it. They knew it was dog shit. And
Hmm.
it's just like if you are ruining something so much that your own fucking paid actors are giving up on your program, whatever you're fucking creating, like you're doing something wrong, like very wrong.
I feel like the mindset has shifted to how can we make this product make money, and they've shifted to that when before it was how can we make this product that is good, And the reason that initial idea existed, because at the end of the day, money is the reason movies exist, right?
Hmm.
All products exist to make money to then for pay for the person's living expenses, etc. But the reason that wasn't prioritized initially was because I think there's this core idea that we're missing, that used to be around everywhere, and it's good films make money.
Yeah.
Make a good film, you'll make money. You don't need
Yeah.
to make a moneymaker. Make a good one, and it will make money. Why do you
Yeah.
think Star Wars is a quadrillion dollar fucking thing? Because the movies were good.
Yeah.
Not because they were fucking shilling anything. There was no product placement. There was no other. But it's making gazillions. And they're so ignorant of that concept while using the brand that did that.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of dumbassery. How tone deaf are you? Like,
I swear, I make my solemn promise as a aspiring filmmaker that I will always attempt to make the best film I can possibly make, and not become the evil that I hate in the filmmaking industry.
that's a good idea.
You can trust me as a filmmaker.
I will trust you. So if I ever see produced by or directed by Adrian, I'll know it's a good movie, or at least you thought it was.
Yeah.
We'll wait till I see it.
Yeah.
But we're reaching time here. Any last things besides the standard YouTube spiel? Any last things you want to say? Final message for the people?
Nope, just the standard YouTube spiel. If you made it this far, love you. You're the best. Make sure to subscribe if you made it this far. You watched us talk about Star Wars and The Walking Dead for an hour. Like, obviously, you like our shit somewhat. So subscribe, like, drop some comments down below. We read them all.
Yeah, we do.
Thanks for watching.
Deuces.
Deuces.
One,